Street Fighter!
The fighting game community has always been different, and the scene thrives best when players get up close and personal.
It really is ultimately a grassroots community and a grassroots movement.
I've seen teenagers and adults just talking shit about each other.
We were just happy the way things were with the rawness and the culture.
There's honestly nothing like it.
It's really hard feeling like you don't belong when you don't see yourself in a community.
You punched my brain out of my face, man. People like competition. Whether it's crossing the finish line first, forcing a checkmate, or hit that last three-pointer. It feels good to compete, and it feels even better to win. It's the same thing with video games. From back in the days of Pac-Man and Pong, players have trained their reflexes, they developed strategies, and they've learned patterns in order to outrun a game's AI, or outsmart another player. But for me, I think out of all video games, there's one genre that takes the most primal form of competition and distills that down into a game.
It's enough, he gets the job done.
In this episode of Reset, we're taking a look at the story of fighting games, from the arcades, all the way to the tournament stages. And we'll learn about the community that's grown up around these games, for better and sometimes for worse.
It's time for Street Fighter!
Coming to you right now, this is Injustice 2!
Fighting games are one of the most popular genres out there. OG franchises like Mortal Kombat, Tekken, and Super Smash Bros. Are still dominating sales charts. And they've been joined by newer franchises like Brawlhalla and Skullgirls.
One of the best things about fighting games is they kind of offer something for everybody. You know, if you want martial arts execution, you can go to Tekken. If you want Hollywood blood and guts, you can go to Mortal Kombat. If you want cartoon horses doing combat with each other, you can go to Them's Fightin' Nerds.
Crash! I'll get you.
But while the wide array of fighting games out there all offer something different for anyone who wants to throw down, they all share one distinct feature that separates them from other competitive games like first-person shooters.
There's more, there's more, there's more.
When you're playing a game like Call of Duty, you are probably playing on a team. In a fighting game, there's no such collaboration. You are playing against a person and reacting just to one person, and it's all on you.
Fucking go!
There's also something primal about it. You're not trying to get a high score here. The entire point of a fighting game is to beat down your opponent's character through punches, kicks, and special moves until the health bar is empty and they're laid out on the ground. Fighting is the original form of human competition, and fighting games are about as close as you can get to that without one of y'all going to jail. You punched my brain out of my face, man.
Fatality.
But what really makes fighting games so different is the community that's grown around them. Unlike other games that are typically played over the internet against strangers from all over the world, fighting games have always been best experienced like real fights, up close and personal. And back in the day, in countless places simultaneously, is where history was born. Around arcade cabinets, where for the price of a quarter, anyone could step up and play. This is where the scene was formed.
The fighting game community is unique among video games because it really is ultimately a grassroots community and a grassroots movement. It is built around very small local scenes. The places where people rise up and practice are their local fight nights.
Okay, all the tournaments will be a double elimination tournament. That means that you have to lose twice before you are out.
You can find fight nights at arcades, video game stores, comic book stores. There's probably one in your community.
And Lee wins.
The scene came to life in 1991 when a new game hit arcades like a roundhouse kick to the face and quickly became a worldwide phenomenon. The game was Street Fighter II: The World Warrior. It featured a colorful roster of 8 playable characters who hailed from all over the globe. Each one had their own mind-blowing, bone-crushing special moves.
You lose!
It had been years since the boom of Pac-Man and Space Invaders had faded, so that lightning-fast combat was exactly what arcades needed.
Arcades, they were still around, but they weren't doing so hot, and Street Fighter II kind of reinvigorated them. They brought a lot of people in because they were excited to play Street Fighter against each other.
When a lot of people hear the word arcade, they think of neatly organized rows of game cabinets, maybe in a nice suburban mall somewhere. But in cities like New York and Chicago and LA, the scene was very different. You could put a game cabinet pretty much anywhere, and that place became the arcade. And that's where fighting game fans became a fighting game community. For people like Anthony Cali in New York City, this formed the scene where he grew up.
I was actually born in the East Village on 3rd Street. I guess I would walk by like a barber shop that may have had the machine or like a candy shop, pizza shop. And I used to hear a shitload of commotion. And I was like, what the hell are these people doing that's getting them so hyped? Like, they're watching basketball or football or something? I just walked in and I seen like teenagers and adults just popping some hot shit, like just talking shit about each other. As soon as I saw the game on the screen, I was like, I ain't never seen no shit like this before. I was just like, yo, this is some hot looking shit right now. Everybody I knew was playing it, young and old.
Street Fighter II motivated gamers to not only seek out players in their local spot, but to go look for the strongest fighters wherever they could find them. Not just to fight, but to watch and to learn, even if the whole thing was kind of risky.
St. Mark's Place at that time was like the nexus of the fucking universe, and it had every good and every bad thing that you could think about. So even though it felt like an oasis of difference, there was also no oasis of just fucked up shit. Like right next to where I was playing the games, you know? Sometimes there would be shootouts on that street, but the arcades in Times Square, somebody was definitely getting stabbed in that motherfucker, because there's just too many people. You can get away easily.
But the real epicenter of the New York City fighting game scene was a hole-in-the-wall joint located way downtown and packed in among Chinese restaurants, Chinatown Fair. It even inspired the 2015 documentary, The Lost Arcade.
Chinatown Fair was the most like rowdy arcade that like, damn, how to explain it? It was just very vibrant, very loud, and like all the best players in New York would be there most of the time.
And it was in places like these, centered around a game where people punch each other in the face, where the fighting game community began to take form.
Arcades were more than just some place you waste some quarters. That was a place where you mingle. It was like a boys and girls club. Even if it wasn't like a little deli, there were so many different types of people. There were like gays, whites, blacks, everybody together. I feel like I learned a lot, and I feel more open-minded from the people there, because I may have never talked to whatever specific type of person that was different than me if it wasn't for a place like that. We loved games, and we were all in the place that's like our sanctuary for them, especially being an only child. I had my brothers and sisters in the arcades.
For me, it's one of the most exciting video game communities because it is so locally grown and so concentrated in like the idea of being in a physical space. It also means like in the cities where these communities have grown up, especially in New York City, which has an incredibly large fighting game community, it means that it is based around the people that show up. I can't think of any other community that is like this in video games.
But while the arcade industry has been effectively KO'd, the fighting game community has not only survived, it's thrived. Today, it encompasses everything from grassroots local groups at game stores to massive corporate-sponsored events. But the core of it is still people and relationships. Coming up, I match up against one of the biggest names in the history of the fighting game community, Alex Valle, and then talk with two up-and-coming legends to find out how, while fighting games have attracted a diverse community, that doesn't mean it's always welcoming to everyone.
Horror stories about women going to like events on their own and being harassed.
Top 3 in practically every tournament.
The stories of this guy, so flashy.
Alex Valle.
For nearly 3 decades running, Alex Valle has been one of the top players in the world. And today, he's considered one of the godfathers of the fighting game community. So, to hear more about the scene, I invited him over to the backyard for some one-on-one.
A lot of players like to just smash the sticks.
Right.
But this game is about patience, it's about finesse, it's about execution, it's about the mind games, getting to know your opponent, their tendencies. What separates the good players from the great players, they can see the speed of things. And the first person that catches on is the winner. And remember, the minigame that I know from you is you don't like to crouch.
Oh, you caught me with it. If I'm gonna lose to somebody, I'm honored to lose to you. Take me back. You were playing Street Fighter 2 in that really early generation. What was it like?
I grew up playing in Southern California. I went to all the major arcades in every county, and not only won tournaments, but I won streaks and really brought up my name.
You've seen the community from back in the day, right? Early 90s, coming up into today, and you're still in it. How have things changed? How have things evolved?
Right, we didn't have any sponsorships. There was no team organizations. We were just happy the way things were with the rawness and the culture, but then it evolved. When finally some of us, prominent fighting game members, started to work with the publishers and the sponsors, and we got through it because of the tournament organizers around the world. They were like, you know what? We're gonna create events the way we want to. It shows who we are.
It's no longer just arcades and local fight nights. Now, there are massive tournaments that attract thousands of players from all over the world. But unlike similar events for Dota or Fortnite, where players compete for millions of dollars, even the biggest fighting game tournaments like EVO don't have a whole lot in the way of prize money. Instead, it's more about pure competition, bragging rights, and love of the game.
Are you nostalgic for what it used to be?
There's a lot of things that I hold dear to the arcade scene that I miss a lot. But then again, it was brutal back then. It wasn't welcoming a lot of the times. We were just thinking about being the best at the game. We weren't thinking about community just yet.
In a scene that's long been predominantly fueled by testosterone, intense competition, players have often taken trash talk too far.
East Coast, baby, but I tell you.
I think in terms of shit talking, there's been kind of two schools of thought.
Make some noise, come on!
One is that the fighting game community is grassroots, and we should be able to say whatever we want.
Black lady, white people, they're going down, right? Including you, you fucking 50-50 motherfucker.
And the other is like, okay, we might be grassroots, but now we are a national scene. We have huge competitions like EVO. We have to civilize this like a little bit. We can't be just publicly absolutely destroying people verbally.
The scene has started to mature, but it's been a painful process. Over the past few years, the fighting game community has faced a reckoning with rampant allegations of abusive, sexist, and racist behavior.
There is an instance recently where multiple Black women spoke out against a well-known figure in the Super Smash Bros. Community for being racist and sexist against Black women, speaking specifically about how they're unattractive and also like bad competitors. And when these women spoke out, it took, I think, longer than it should have for the rest of the community to say, like, we can't treat them like this. In the gaming community at large, Black women have felt left out and ignored.
Oh, that might be it.
Oh, she was so ready. She was even ready for that.
Janelle Carter, or as the scene knows her, Cuddlecore, is one of the biggest names in Tekken.
If I'm gonna play against you, what do I have to watch out for?
Yeah, so, playing Cuddlecore, gotta watch out. She'll be the first one to rip you in half with a chainsaw. The moment she has a punish on you, she'll pull out the saws, man. You're just getting the blender.
Unbelievable combat.
What is it like being out there in the tournaments?
It's like a convention, a cookout, and like a basketball game. There's honestly nothing like it.
Some people might think that the presence of Black women kicking ass at the highest rank of competition means that the fighting game community is a welcoming place for everyone. But Cuddlecore says that's not quite how things have played out.
I hear a little bit too much about like these horror stories about women going to like events on their own and being harassed, you know, sexist things being said to them, you know, when they're just trying to play. I mean, shoot, even with a lot of the stories that have come out in the last few months about the gaming community and you know, sexual harassment, assault, rape. We're already getting discriminated against because we're women, because women are treated differently in the scene, but we're also Black, and there seems to be a lot of tension there when it comes to Black people wanting to speak up on things that need to change.
So she started working with the XO Academy, an organization made up of women who teach their fighting game skills to up-and-coming competitors.
So once you get in, you want to stay in. I was hired on by XO Academy as a Tekken 7 coach. I didn't know who my student was at all. I had no idea. But when I found out that Athena was a Black woman, I was like, yeah, this is a really good thing.
So I like to like rush you down, poke you down, mix you up at the wall.
All the female players who want to be even more competitive, I want their first experiences to be good, so they feel like they belong. Yeah, this would be really good right here. Nice electric.
Sheila Moore, aka the Purple Sharpie, is also making the fighting game community a more inviting space for anyone who loves fighting games.
I originally started competitively gaming with Super Smash Bros. Melee. It was almost always me. I was the only Black woman competing, and it always messed with me. And it's really hard feeling like you don't belong when you don't see yourself in a community.
So she decided to do something about it and co-founded a group called Combo Queens.
The idea behind Combo Queens is that we all work to make the fighting game community in general more welcome to women, femmes, and other non-binary individuals inside of the community.
I actually watched the Combo Queens panel from last year. You look at the comments, and it's people saying, "Where's the men in gaming?" How do you react when you see that?
It's just one of those things that because they see the word woman in gaming, women in gaming, they get concerned that that's all that matters anymore. Moving towards a future where everyone is included, where everyone is happy, where everyone is welcome, that's something that we should always be striving to do as people. Maybe we can do better and maybe we deserve better.
This is a scene largely built by people who went to the arcades because in other places, they didn't necessarily fit in. So it's ironic that it wouldn't be welcoming to everyone. But that's exactly why some of the most prominent members are now pushing things forward.
Where is the fighting game community at right now for you?
I feel like the fighting game community is more visible than ever, and that's just because we have really huge forces in the community, like Sonic Fox, we have Justin Wong, we have Cuddlecore, all great, fantastic competitors in different games that are very, very visible and are all people of color. The best we can do is try to make it acceptable for the next generation to come into a world that is changed even slightly and continue to work on changing it.
The important lesson here is inclusivity. You know, that means inviting everybody to the party to play.
Next world champion could just be chilling down the road. We don't even know it.
Exactly. It took us 30 years to get to where we are now, and we're still learning. We're still learning to create better experiences for people.
Coming up, the Reset Roundtable talks fighting games and the fighting game community. Welcome back, y'all. Now it's time for the Reset Roundtable. Joining me this time is Motherboard staff writer Gita Jackson and gaming documentarian Phil Nolan.
Hey.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Favorite fighting game of all time? Gita, what's yours?
When I was a kid, my older brother bought Guilty Gear X, and something about the complete nonsense of those Arc System anime fighters just holds a special place in my heart. Also, just how funny is the name Soul Bad Guy?
I can respect that. Phil, what about you?
It's controversial as to whether this is part of the formal fighting game community, but it has been and will always be Super Smash Bros. Melee for the Nintendo GameCube.
Oh, you starting off immediately. Okay, yeah, I hear you.
It is the sickest game ever, as some would say.
I'm going to throw you a curveball, and I'm just going to be honest with you. For me, there is something that will always hold a place in my heart in Killer Instinct. That was my go-to right there. Just get Orchid, just cartwheeling people in the face. Anybody who's a noob, doesn't know how to block properly, can't break the combo. I know nobody plays that game anymore, but you know.
Respect, dude.
What is it about the fighting game community that you think makes it so different from every other game subculture out there?
A lot of esports and major competitive video games are very team-based. You know, you can flame your teammates, you can go on and on about blaming them and making excuses for yourself. In a fighting game, it's one-on-one. And if you lose, it's really your fault. It's such a deep little personal connection you can have with someone. When you're both playing the game at a really high level, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, I think a lot of that in-person stuff is what I love about the fighting game community as well. I sort of compare it to like the communities that spring up around pickup basketball. It's more similar to that than something like Overwatch League, which is a franchise model where it's been created by a corporation from the top down. Here, we're looking at a community that arose around the act of playing the games themselves.
Just stay patient, relax, breathe, do it.
Again, I've been interviewing Black women who, you know, they're heavy in the game, and they're also bringing other people into the game, other women into the game, right? And then on the same hand, I think they're also feeling like they're not getting the kind of support that they could or that they deserve, right?
That broad concept of misogynoir, you know, the act of being misogynistic specifically to a Black woman. So your misogyny is all wrapped up in your racism. This has been a problem in the scene for a while. It's not just Black women that face these issues. Asian women also see a lot of fetishization within the community and like feel very uncomfortable because they're immediately sexually fetishized. And there's been a lot of issues with trans misogyny as well, where people call into question the personhood of trans players within the fighting game community.
He ain't trans, he didn't fucking get his dick slit, he ain't got the balls for that.
They face different issues of misogyny based on these other aspects of their identity.
What is it like within the community? I mean, is there a positive path forward for this?
The progress is being made painfully slow, very painfully slow, but there is progress. We have organizations like Combo Queens and Smash Sisters that have been present at events for some time, and they are female-run and organized events. More and more of the community is kind of like stepping up to try and protect their own.
Phil, Gita, thanks so much for hanging out with me. I know we can keep going on about this. We should probably wrap it up at some point. But yo, you too, definitely make sure to come back and hang out again. We have a lot more to talk about on Reset, the unauthorized guide to video games.